Welcome back to the Jag Bros. I am Jack, along with my other brother, Joey. Unfortunately, JT could not join us today, but we are three brothers. JT has sent in some notes for this episode. We're diehard Jaguars fans. This is currently bye week for the Jaguars, so we have a game coming up this coming Sunday in Las Vegas against the Raiders. Hopefully, a bounce back game where the Jaguars can get right after back-to-back losses. An ugly loss in London. Feels like it could be the perfect get right game. But Joey, just before we even break down the game, how are you feeling right now? The Jags bye week going to Vegas this Sunday.
It's a pivotal moment, a turning point for this team, really. They have to look at themselves and say, what do you want for the rest of the season? If you said that we were going to be 4-3 after that pretty hard schedule at the beginning, I'd be very happy. But you just had two losses in a row, which kind of puts a little damper on it. But if you can remove yourself, you see the whole season's still ahead of you. Are you going to come out, whip the Raiders, and get right? Or are you going to let this linger like you have in the last year and a half, where it kind of plagues on you? You're overthinking everything. Everyone's in a slump. No one can pull anyone out of it. We were always looking for that spark, and you go out and if you fumble the game against the Raiders, it's a bad loss, and it would be detrimental for the rest of the season.
I love that thought of it's a pivotal game. I know we talked about this the end of last episode. JT kind of disagreed a little bit with us there, but it feels like so much of football is confidence. And the Jags took a big shot to their confidence, getting beat pretty handily, offense, defense, special teams in London. But if you can build confidence, you win on Sunday, you get a nice, comfortable win, you execute better, you're 5-3. Going into the second half of the season where you play a lot of your division games. You still have 2 games against the Colts, 2 games against the Titans, a game against the Texans. And let's just go ahead and start breaking it down. The Raiders are sitting there 2-5 with their only win against the Titans, who look horrendous, have already fired their coach. And then they won week 1 against the Patriots, who look like a very different team. The Raiders have been blown out twice recently, 34 points to the Colts, 31 points to the Chiefs, 40-6 against the Colts, and 31-0 versus the Chiefs in their last game. They're also coming off their bye. So let's just start with, all right, Jaguars offense versus the Raiders defense. What are you looking at, Joey, for the Jaguars to have success on Sunday in Vegas, specifically on the offensive side of the ball?
Trevor's going to have to get right. We need to get this passing game going. I know that Britton Strange is out, but I think you have to incorporate the other tight ends a little bit more. Hunter Long, Munt, they are fine, but you saw the Rams threw it to every single one of their tight ends. It wasn't just
crazy. 4 tight ends.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be just your starter. Incorporate them, get them going. Trevor kind of needs them to get those 5-6 gotta get it yards. It needs to be a more run game on Liam Cohen. We need to not abandon the run so quickly. Granted, we need to not get down so quickly. At the beginning of the season, we ran the ball a lot. It was a little more shorter passes, and then maybe we can throw in some longer passes. But Trevor right now, I think, has the worst completion rating over long passes. So it's obviously not working down the field. Let's bring it closer together. Let's tighten it all up and just move the ball down the field and start putting some points back on the board.
Well, here's the bad news, Joe. Not only does he have a low completion percentage on long passes, he's 31st right now in completion percentage of screen passes. But I totally agree. If you're going to build back confidence, it starts on those easy throws. 73% is bad for screen passes, but that's still, of course, a very, very high completion percentage. Get it to your playmaker, number 1, Travis Hunter. What was the one thing that went well in London? Travis Hunter took off in the second half. Joey, you've been pounding the table and looked absolutely right last Sunday. Travis Hunter is a difference maker. And right now with BTJ having his struggles and drops with Parker Washington and Britton Strange, as you said, still being out, you got to get Travis Hunter going early. You've got to get the run game going with Travis Etienne Bashaw Tootin. I have just not seen enough Tootin, and I know we've been down these last couple of weeks where we get into a hole really quickly, but I want to see a big game from Tootin, a nice game from Etienne, and Hunter getting the ball early, because you look at the Raiders defense and they're kind of middle of the road. They're 15th to 20th in pass defense, 10 to 15th in rush defense. The star player on their defense is, of course, Max Crosby. He's an all pro level edge. The Jags offensive line did great the first 4 or 5 weeks, but the last 2 games have given up back-to-back games of 7 sacks. That cannot happen. You've got to double team Chip, make sure Crosby doesn't get to Trevor Lawrence right out of the way. And you got to build momentum early with those easy passes. I totally agree, Joey. Get it going early, get Trevor going, get started, and just don't go 3 and out on that first drive, which is such a temptation out of a bye to come out sluggish. No, come out hot, run the ball down their throat, execute well, no penalties, or certainly a lot less penalties. And then the Jags offense feels like it should be rolling on Sunday.
I think by running the ball more, it's going to help in the passing game so much, because this offensive line is still in the top 10. I didn't realize this, as run blockers, and in the bottom 20 pass blockers. So you need to do what they do best more often, get them some confidence, and so that way they don't have to pass block as much, as long, and as often. And then also, I want to see a little bit more LaQuint Allen. I loved seeing him in the viral video, taking ownership of a block he missed. He's an X factor, I think, where you can get him going in the passing game a little bit. You have him fake a block, toss it to him. Like, there's a lot of things you could kind of draw up for our deep running back room. I feel like we've kind of blown by it and have been forcing it to the wide receivers. Get this running back room, all 3 of them involved. As you said, Tootin needs to be more involved. These are electric guys that can take it to the house in one play. So give them a chance as well as Hunter.
It's a great call. Yeah, it feels like this game where you just need to get rhythm, get consistency, and just limit mistakes. The Jaguars on paper should be significantly better, honestly, on both sides of the ball. And Joey, that was a great call out on that video that went viral with Liam Cohen saying, hey, I set y'all up for failure on that 4th and 7. That's on me. LaQuint Allen says, man, I missed that block too. And Cohen says, yeah, but it's still on me. And that's the culture that I think Jags fans are still excited about. Sunday was painful. I came on the podcast. I probably went too strong, too gung-ho. But the reality is, again, I said it towards the end of that episode, it's 1 loss. You said earlier, Joe, you're sitting here at 4 and 3. You're in a good position. You've got a very winnable game where, if I'm just being real, and if maybe there's a Raider fan or 2 or 3 listening to this, let us know in the comments. But if I'm a Raiders fan right now, I don't necessarily even want to win this game. You're 2 and 5. You're in this loaded division. Geno Smith is clearly not the answer. You want a high draft pick for the quarterback of the future. But for the Jaguars, you absolutely need this game. Yes, it's hard to win on the road, but get the ball rolling early. I love unleashing the running backs in the receiving room. That feels like something we need to tap into more. Overall, there's not a whole lot other than Max Crosby that scares you on defense. And it comes down to Jaguars offense. Are you going to execute, or are you going to beat yourself? Because I just don't think the Raiders have the firepower to beat the Jaguars. But we've seen it before. The Jags offense can beat itself, and you just cannot do that on Sunday.
I don't think that's going to happen. I have a feeling that we should have a very similar game plan that we had against the Panthers. You don't need to do anything too out there. Just run your regular plays and nothing too flashy, and tighten it up. Get rid of some of these penalties. I understand. I've watched these games. The refs have been awful towards the Jaguars. A lot of calls where I'm like, that's not even close to a penalty. But it seems like that's what's going to be this season. It's an uphill battle. If Jags are going to want to win, you're going to have to do it in spite of the referees. They're not going to hand you anything this year. It's a first year. There's going to be bumps in the road. We've been a little harsh because Liam Cohen had that win streak, so we were kind of expecting it just kind of always. But it is everyone's first year in that front office. Let them get right. I think Liam Cohen will put together a great game plan for the Raiders. He realizes some of his mistakes, and I like that he can take ownership, sees mistakes, and he's going to fix it. Whereas Last year, it was banging your head against the wall. Oh, yeah, we made mistakes, but we're going to run the exact same thing every time, and we're just going to fix the mistakes instead of, hey, no, it starts here. We need to change the game plan because I didn't even put you in a chance to be successful.
For sure. You look at the Raiders' first 7 games right now, it's good teams, the average teams, they're somewhere in that 20 to 25 point range, but the great offenses, they can have whatever they want on the Raiders. The Chiefs, again, last game, they just put up 31 points. A couple weeks ago, apparently the Colts have maybe the best offense in the NFL, which is still just crazy to me, but they put up 40 points. So this is going to be a test to see, can the Jaguars get out of this offensive lull and execute at a great level? Because if they do, then this could be a big game from the Jags offense. But let's flip to Jags defense versus the Raiders offense. And my big question here is, can the turnover kings of the Jacksonville Jaguars strike again on Sunday? Geno only has 7 touchdowns, but he has 10 interceptions. The Raiders should probably get Brock Bowers and Jacoby Myers back from injury, which is going to help their offense. But I think that's where I want to start, Joey, and get your thoughts. Like, can the Jaguars defense strike and get turnovers, especially on Geno Smith, who's had a rough year when it comes to turnover plays?
I absolutely think we can get back to some of the turnovers. I do think Lloyd will be hopefully back, and I think he is kind of the key to turnovers. Even when he's not making it, he's always around it, either scooping up the fumble, causing the fumble, having the pick. He is kind of that spark plug for the defense for turnovers. So hopefully having him back will bring it all back together. You do not want to let Geno. There is, like we've seen, he can play well at the Seahawks. He hasn't really done it against the Raiders yet, but don't let him kind of set off. This is a chance to get right, get some of those turnovers back, get back to what you were at the beginning of the season, and be just physical, run around. This is not a great offense. If you dictate that you're going to hit them in the mouth, I think that you make the Raiders crumble. But if you play back and you let them kind of pick you apart, don't let them gain confidence.
That's where I feel good about. Our run defense, I feel great. Yes, the Raiders went all out and all in, drafting Ashton Genty towards the top of the first round.
He hasn't been
Honestly,
anything really.
yeah, he's been all right. He's averaging about 4 yards per carry. Hasn't been that involved in the receiving game. And I love our rush defense. We've been a top 10, maybe even top 5 rush defense where we shut down Kyron Williams under 60 yards. The game before that, we had Kenneth Walker under 40 yards. Then even Christian McCaffrey, yes, he had a big receiving game against us. We held him to under 50 yards on the ground with nearly 20 carries. So Genty is going to be interesting because he's has that star power name, but the Jags defense on rush should have a big edge. The only concern is going to be, can Brock Bowers come back? Because Joey, you even called it out. We got torched by the Rams tight ends. We've had this struggle. Dewey Wingard has not been as sharp and as good, and he's not a true coverage safety. So if you're looking at Brock Bowers, to me, you got to have Jordan Lewis on him a ton and or Travis Hunter. You saw Travis Hunter get some nice pass deflections on Travis Kelce. Travis Hunter, even though he's undersized on tight ends, he plays physical. He can go up and get the ball and knock it away. So put Jordan Lewis on him a bunch with Travis Hunter on him a little bit and just shade him. Have the safety shade him, because Brock Bowers is truly the only major weapon if he is available to play for the Raiders on Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully that he doesn't play. He's the only person that you have to worry about in that offense right now. And even if he does, hopefully he's not to what he used to be. That's a big difference. But hopefully, if Lloyd's back, he has been very great in coverage against, I feel like, the tight ends and running back. So hopefully that will be a huge thing, because Ventrell Miller last week looked like old Lloyd who couldn't cover. He was always with running around with his head kind of like, where am I supposed to go? He's great against the run, just is kind of lost in the pass defense right now. So It's going to be a big thing to have Lloyd back.
Great call. Man, I love Agent Zero and been missing him these last two games. A big reason why, number one, the Jags haven't had any turnovers, but two, the defense has not been as strong and as sharp. Although both games, the Seahawks and the Rams game obviously looking terrible on the scoreboard. There were long periods where the defense still played at a very, very high level. The key is going to be both those games, they just gave up too many points early. The Jags' first quarter defense needs to be stronger. Then, secondly, what needs to be stronger is the pass rush. Because right now, the Jags are dead last in sacks with only 8 sacks. It is truly time. The Raiders' offensive line is somewhere around the middle of the road, giving up 1 to 2 sacks. The Colts had a field day against them there. But it's time for Trayvon Walker and Josh Hines Allen to let loose. This should be one of the most dynamic duos. They've had a lot of pressures. They've had some good disruptions, but definitely not as much the last couple games. Time to get right there for the Jags pass rush as well. I need to see multiple sacks, ideally from both these guys, but Devin Lloyd, throw him in there too. Maybe Devin Lloyd gets a sack on Sunday, but we need to get after Geno Smith.
The pass rush isn't getting there, and I think it's time, if we're going to get pressure on the quarterback, it's got to come from blitzes. And we've had some good ones at the beginning of the season, but I feel like we haven't done it as much lately. I don't know if it's because we're down and we're trying to just play back, but it's time to be aggressive, call up some blitzes, and get after Geno Smith. But there's no reason that we can't put him on the ground, make him throw some interceptions, show them that the Raiders need a new quarterback, and make sure that the Jaguars prove that.
I think it all comes back to mentality. Joe, you said this last episode, the Jags defense and honestly whole team kind of the last couple games has played on more on their heels, this passive, reserved, conservative approach where when we were dominant, we were attacking. And there should be no reason that the Jags shouldn't be the aggressive, more physical attacking team. And that's what I want to see from our defense on Sunday.
Yes, absolutely. If you're going to make a mistake, make it going 100 miles per hour. That's always my favorite quote on a defense.
Love it. Well, let's get right into our keys to victory. We share these in every matchup. Jags fans, we love to hear from y'all. What do you think the offense needs to do? What do you think the defense needs to do? You can drop it in our comments on YouTube, or we will share these later on X throughout the week. So we want to engage with you, Jags fans. Shout out to JT. Hate not having him with us. JT is sometimes the heart and soul of the Jag Bros. He's the oldest brother, but he sent us some notes. When it comes to offense, he said you got to have at least 4 yards per carry rushing. We've got to be able to establish the run. He says our rushing ability determines how good our offense is. And every time we've had a good offensive performance, it's definitely come back to where we were able to run the ball. So he's saying get ETN, get their ground game going early, establish the run, and be the more physical team when it comes to the rushing attack.
I agree with that wholeheartedly, getting the run game going. And I think it's going to be getting the tight ends involved, Hunter and Munt, trying to get them because they had no game plan for them last game. It's imperative that they are somewhat involved in the passing. And then also getting the running backs involved in the passing game as well. Get Tootin the ball in some space. Let him see if he can't break a huge one. Do a little fake block screen to LaQuint Allen. And then ETN obviously has played very well. Getting him involved in the pass game can be very helpful as well.
So my offensive key is going to be limit drops. You could zoom out and just say limit mistakes. You got to make sure that you limit penalties. The Jags have been towards the bottom 5 there, but the number one narrative for the Jaguars right now, especially offensively, is the drop problem. We are number 1 in the league. Brian Thomas Jr. has been disappointing. There's potentially maybe trade rumors. I don't buy it, and I hope it's not the case, but obviously we can engage with y'all in the comments there, but limit drops, 1 drop at the most. If that means Brian Thomas Jr. drops his first pass, okay, don't target him anymore for the rest of the game. But you can't keep having 4 or 5 or more drops every game. You just lose so much momentum. It's too frustrating to Trevor. Trevor's not at this great or elite ability to be able to overcome obstacles like that. So make sure that we limit drops on Sunday for our offense.
Drops are important. You're going to have a few. The thing is just not to hang your head when it happens. It's the bouncing back. I remember watching the game, I think it was 2 weeks ago. Marvin Harrison Jr. drops a massive one down the middle, then all of a sudden comes back at the end of the game and catches the game winner in the end zone. Just make sure that you're not hanging your head. And these trade rumors about BTJ Jr., I hope this is a wake-up call for him that you're not safe, unfortunately. And I don't think we are going to trade him. I mean, if you read the article, it's like there's a bunch of like negative to just that one little rumor. It sounded like she just wanted some clickbaits. It was Diana from The Athletic, and she's been fairly wrong on everything that she's kind of put out there. But it's gained traction. It's kind of everywhere. It's been the thing to do on this bye week is kind of speculate who would you want to trade for, but I think he's going to be here. If not, eh, go out there and show people that you are still a number one wide receiver, that there's a reason why you went in the first round, and there's a reason why people like Chad Ochocinco, Jimmy Smith, all these high level wide receivers respect you and want to help your game. Go out there and show them that you're on that same level with all of them again.
BTJ 100% needs to listen to Jimmy Smith. I'm not a wide receiver expert, but Jimmy Smith is the greatest wide receiver we've ever had in a Jaguars jersey in terms of his career. I think we had Torrey Holt and some others, but obviously way past their prime. The Brian Thomas Jr. thing deal to me is, and I'll just say this, I actually did a video on YouTube if you want kind of my full thoughts on it. I'm fine with even benching or giving away reps, certainly to Travis Hunter, because it looks like he is earning them right now. But you don't trade him. You can even bench him, but don't trade him. But you're 100% right, Joey, in terms of he's got to get right. And he is in a new system, and we always give Trevor Lawrence, it feels like, an extra pass because he's in a new system with a new coach. Well, BTJ is a new wide receivers coach and a new OC and a new head coach. But people are getting restless, and he should have. There's no one in terms of the Raiders secondary that could lock him down. And again, it comes back to, is he going to beat himself or is he going to execute and have a big game? It seemed like he was having momentum. He actually had a really nice game against the Seahawks with 90 yards and a touchdown. He had that extra touchdown as well, get called back from a penalty, but then looks dreadful in London. So this game is going to tell us a ton about not just the execution, but I think the confidence of where the Jags offense is, where BTJ is at, because this should be a place where we can execute really well. And let's look at defensive keys. JT gave us and we're pretty similar here. He said 5 havoc plays on defense. He said those could be sacks, turnovers, fourth down stops, big plays on defense. And I totally agree. I think the Jags have to get back to what should be their identity. I mean, what is the Jags' identity through the first half? It's a little murky. It's a little unclear right now. But we need to get back to what it was at the beginning when we were winning. What were we doing on defense? We were making big plays. We were causing turnovers. And offensively, we were able to run the ball, own time of possession, and execute, especially when we needed to, because a lot of times it was third or fourth and short because we were able to run the ball. So defensively, JT says 5 havoc plays. I'm going to say get back to being the turnover kings, get back on the turnover train, and get at least 2, because Geno Smith can be pretty willy-nilly with the ball.
Havoc plays and turnovers are very key. I'm just going to say go out there and play like you did at the beginning, where you were fast and all running towards the ball, punching it out, and being aggressive. That's all I want to see from this defense. I've watched for the last 2 weeks them playing on their heels, kind of playing like the old Jags defense. If you want to be good, you got to set the tone. I want to see when you tackle, there's 3 other Jaguars standing right there. I want to see you punching at the ball any way and every way, getting after it, showing them that you are the aggressor. This is your game, your W. You're taking it home. They have no shot at it.
Well, let's get into prediction time. So currently, JT is unfortunately at the bottom. He is 3-4. Joey, you're 4-3. I'm 5-2. As always, we want to hear from y'all your predictions. Again, we're going to post this on X, but you can drop your comments on YouTube. We'll respond and interact to each and every comment and prediction. But we'll let JT get started, and JT gives us the prediction of a Jacksonville Jaguars victory 23-13. Joey, do you have the Jags pulling out a victory on Sunday in Vegas?
I absolutely have us pulling out a victory. What's funny is I actually have the Raiders scoring the exact same points, 13, but I have us being a little bit better with 27 points. I think that the offense gets a little bit better. There's still some mistakes, but you see progress, a lot better play calling, a lot more running, and we get some good defensive play as well. So the Jaguars win 27-13. Things are looking up again. It's looking a little bit like the first game of the Jaguars.
Let's go, baby. Here we go. This is a big get right game. So to me, it all depends on how the Jags start. If the Jags start sluggish and give the Raiders the league early, it's probably going to be a dogfight, which I don't want to see at all. I want to see the Jags come out fast, physical. We've seen this Raiders team get blown out a couple times. We're going to go 3 for 3 in terms of double-digit victories for the Jags. The spread is currently 3 points, and it feels like a game, I'm with you, Joey, where the Jags offense can take that next step, can unlock this next level. We've seen it with the Eagles, where everyone freaks out about the Eagles. What's wrong? Should they trade A.J. Brown? What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? And then I feel like they typically respond. I think we're going to see the same thing from the Jags offense. It's a great opportunity to do it. It's a perfect defense to have your get-right game offensively. So I have the Jags scoring 31 points and the Raiders scoring 17. So 3 for 3. Let's hope for a big, big Jags victory on Sunday in Vegas.
All right, you heard it here. We all think the Jags are going to get back on the W train. I hope everyone is going to be watching. For the few fans that are going to travel, representing the Jaguars, it's going to be a fun time. It is going to be our first afternoon game, 3:05 Central, 4:05 Eastern Time. Let's get the Jaguars right. Let's get this season back on track at 5-3. Let's hear it for the Jaguars, and we're going to close out like we always do. Duuuval.